We are live. AEW All Out 2024 match card and predictions. Let's get straight into the match card of the matches we'll be discussing for this historic event this upcoming Saturday, including the AEW International Championship. Will Ospreay defending against Pac. We've got Mercedes Moné defending the TBS Championship against Hikaru Shida. Kamille is barred from ringside. We've got MGF against Daniel Garcia. We've got a street fight between Willow, Nightingale, and Kris Statlander. In the worst graphic you'll ever see, because Kazuchika Okada is defending the Continental Championship in a fatal four-way. Hopefully, we will get a bit of indication of a better graphic close to the show. There is the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line, which will be the Young Bucks against the Blackpool Combat Club. The AEW World Championship on the line with Bryan Danielson defending against Jack Perry. And, of course, last but not least, how can we forget it will be the main event, I'm assuming, of this show, the unsanctioned lights out steel cage match between Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, with, yes, that closing from AEW Dynamite. Whose house? Nobody's house. It was Swerve's, and Hangman burnt it to the ground. Drinking a whiskey as well there. Myself and Alex Steve are in the hot seat, going to give you those predictions here today. Alex Steve, welcome to the show. And of course, the first question, as always, what are your excitement levels for AEW All Out 2024?
Swerve's house on fire. Prince Nana's terrified. You want a football chant? Swerve's house on fire. Prince Nana is terrified. But yeah, dude, do you know what? For a show that a lot of people are calling predictable result-wise, I get a very funny feeling this is going to be like Bash in Berlin, and it's going to be a very good wrestling show. So I would probably say a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, do you know what? My excitement has jumped up a few levels, particularly of that end from AEW Dynamite last night. The Swerve and Hangman stuff was absolutely excellent, and I mean that you've always known that it's going to be a good feud and a good match with these two, but they just seem to always take it up a notch. I'm not just talking about In Flames. They've really made it go to a 10 out of 10 for that. But I'm going to say an 8 out of 10. I think this is a good card overall, and as well, only 8 matches at the time of recording. Goodness, we'll breeze through this. It will seem like a quick day at the office when it comes to an AEW show. But from that, obviously, I've made no secret the match I'm most looking forward to. Yes, it is going to be Swerve versus Hangman in that steel cage match. What match are you most looking forward to?
I mean, aside from the obvious one, I'm actually going to say the Fatal 4-Way because by the looks of who's going to be in the match, like through these qualifying matches, I reckon this has got the potential to be quite a killer match.
Yeah, I think it'll be a killer match as well. We'll go through the qualifiers as well. I do have the graphics on standby, so we can predict who will be in the match and then who we think actually will be winning the match as well. Let's go into the chat very quickly. On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, Ian House and I will be joining them live on their channel in less than 2 hours from now, which of course is 1 a.m. my time. Will be midnight UK time. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Central. So good to have you guys on board, and slightly biased, of course, 9 out of 10 for the show. They're actually going to be at the show as well, and solid build to a lot of these matches, which I would agree, by the way. Very clever. Only 2 weeks between All In and All Out. You could shake it all about, but what I would say is instead of doing the okey pokey, the AEW have been very clever with actually building their stories together. They've actually linked a lot of things together. So instead of where I felt last year, a lot of stuff was just thrown at the wall last minute. It feels like, you know, with Daniel Garcia, for example, written off TV, came back at Wembley, sets up the match for this one here. Pac was supposed to have the International Championship match, at All In, didn't happen, so he's got it on All Out. We know with Hangman, Adam Page, and Swerve, it's a never-ending story. So a lot of matches here kind of feel like that they've had some significant build towards them.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there is obviously, I hate to be that guy, but obviously there is the Mercedes Moné Hikaru Shida match, which kind of feels like it's thrown together on a whim, and it's kind of like, didn't we just have this match as well, which is a bit of a strange one. But yeah, otherwise, I think most of the other matches have all done pretty well to be built. Dude, I'll even say the tag team title match. I think that one's just a case of like, I haven't seen much of a build to it, but again, like I said at the start, this is a pretty predictable card, so I'm just expecting some absolutely killer wrestling.
Spectacular wrestling as well. Last comment before we go into the matches and get on with our predictions says, I'm a madman for staying up late with you guys. That's probably true. And Nick Steve, hope you're doing well. Always good to see you on stream. And it's good to see you in a chat with us as well. So anyone that's watching, feel free to get involved with your predictions and comments as well. Hit that like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well as we go into the first match we'll be talking about, which will be for the AEW International Championship. Will Ospreay will be taking on one of the Trios champions, Pac. Of course, when looking at this match, like I mentioned a minute ago, Pac was, well, it was the number one contender for the International Championship. However, that championship became the American Championship when MJF won it. Therefore, I guess by technicality, Pac lost his championship match at Wembley Stadium. Will Ospreay won the championship back. Easy for me to say at Wembley. And Pac, of course, now has the opportunity at All Out. However, Ricochet is a new member of the AEW roster. There has been some speculation that Will has been taking this off the ball when it comes to Pac. Pac has made sure to remind him at every opportunity that he's the one coming from this title first, landing a poison runner on the stage, and of course a nice big beat down this past week, of course, in the six-man tag that went backstage as well. Are you barking for this one?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I said, I'm not bashing it, but it's hard to get excited story-wise when, again, the results are predictable. But I'm expecting these two to put on an absolute killer. Like, I know that they've got some history together, especially from, like, when Pac was first released from WWE. And I believe they had a Rev Pro match together that was, we went to a time limit draw, which was obviously one of the dumbest things you've ever seen in a Rev Pro show. Because, but like I said, it's like I'm expecting this to just be all flips, all kicks, and just stupidly entertaining. And like, if this is the opening match, it's going to be a great way to open. Like, you can't go wrong with two British wrestlers opening a show in American, like an American pay-per-view in front of an American crowd. So I'm all for that, man.
Absolutely. As the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast says here, match of the year candidate incoming. I think certainly these two have got the chemistry that can put on an absolute bang. I'm expecting 5 stars. I think this will kick off the show, actually. It's one of the reasons I've put it first on this prediction string, because I think it will be the opener of the night. I do agree with you. I think it's a predictable outcome. However, I think Will Ospreay is retaining the championship. I think Ricochet obviously is the destination for Wrestle Dream. However, Pac and Ricochet have had a little bit of stuff going on as well. But the attack on Will Ospreay, Ricochet's made the save for Ospreay. Is there a chance that we could get Pac and Ricochet on the build to Wrestle Dream, or could we even see ourselves a triple threat match, a three-way for the International Championship?
I mean, possibly. Depends on how it finishes. Like, I imagine Ospreay will retain. Again, whether we get something like a time limit draw, maybe that's the reason why, and then they insert Ricochet somewhere there. We get a screwed finish maybe somehow, who knows, but there is always the opportunity. But I think that everyone is clawing for that Ricochet Will Ospreay match, because, you know what I mean, I think it was only like 2 weeks ago I'm seeing stuff that Ricochet was doing prior to WWE, and I was like, where's this guy been the whole time in WWE? Like, he's just been doing some outrageous stuff. And like I said, him and Ospreay have such a good history together and have some quality killer matches. So I don't know, maybe, but then like you said, Pac is one of the trios champions, so he doesn't necessarily have to be part of this match, but hey, why not, man? Throw all 3 of them in together, I'm sure it'll be great.
It would be great indeed. And to be fair, Pac has previously been a trios champion and international champion at the same time. Could history repeat itself? We personally don't think so. We think Will Ospreay is retaining the international championship. We think Ricochet is the next challenger and will be taking place at Wrestle Dream, which of course is at the start of October. We're going to the comments. We've got a couple more comments here for us right now. Roger Sims in the house. Hope you're doing well. Roger says, I'm looking forward to watching Danielson Garcia versus MJF and Will Ospreay versus Pac. Both promise to be great matches. 2 matches I'm quite looking forward to as well. Didn't really mention a match most looking forward to, but Garcia MJF has got a lot of potential for me. And a question from Zane saying, welcome to the show, asking, do you think WWE or AEW will sign Giselle Shaw? She is currently now a free agent after leaving TNA. Had a release granted. Heck of a talent. She is expected to be a part of Scott D'Amore's, I believe, Make Believe promotion. We're doing quite a few dates there. So I don't see her joining either in the short term, but could you see her perhaps at some point joining one of these 2 companies? If so, which one do you think more likely?
Wasn't she originally part of WWE to begin with? Wasn't she on NXT at one point? Or am I getting my wires confused with someone else?
That would require a Google search from me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's got to elevate herself some more, and I think if she goes on serious run on the indie scenes, goes around essentially a couple of the promotions and starts elevating her name and her credibility and her value, basically, and essentially trying to do like Matt Cardona, really, and just elevating yourself to a status. By all means, the door is always there for her to sign to a new company. I mean, I find it very strange that you ask for your release without something guaranteed. Like, I've not heard anything of her going anywhere else, so I don't know. Maybe it's so personal. Who knows? Maybe she's just fed up of creative with TNA. So we'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. I can confirm she's not been in NXT. She's not been with AEW previously either. Her career so far has seen quite a few Canadian promotions to begin with. They're moving on to Revolution Pro Wrestling 2019 to 2021. And of course, Progress Wrestling as well, 2019 to present. Women of Wrestling also before actually going in for TNA. But we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't mind seeing her in either company, to be brutally honest. I think she has a lot to offer. She's got great in-ring style. She has a great entrance music as well. She's allowed to keep it. I think AEW would be a better shout for her at this present moment, but we'll have to wait and see what will happen further down the line. But we'll move on to our second match as we're starting to talk about a bit of women's wrestling. Why not go into the TBS Championship on the line? The Mercedes Moné will be going against Hikaru Shida. Kamille banned from ringside as she did get involved the last time these two had a match. Of course, she was also getting involved in the All-In match that Mercedes Moné had with Britt Baker as well, and of course was ejected ringside. So I guess Christopher Daniels has just saved the trouble here by barring her immediately from ringside. So the question I have for you, as we both probably feel this is a predictable outcome, does Mercedes Moné win this on her own, or does she get someone new as backup instead of Kamille to put away Hikaru Shida? You're on mute.
Apologies, my kids are in the background being noisy.
Right.
I would like to think that she will get the win by herself. In fact, you know what? I'll probably not. I reckon there'll still be some sort of kind of screwy fish where, I don't know, Kamille comes down in a luchador mask. Do you know what I mean? We just get something silly like that, and she still ends up getting the win somewhere because it's technically not Kamille if they're in a lucha mask. So yeah, I would imagine it's something like that. But then again, like I said, I would like to see Mercedes actually defend and retain the title by herself off of her own back.
She's certainly talented enough to do so. So, I mean, I hope this is straight up one-on-one as well. But I couldn't help but think like, oh, well, you know, she's the CEO and she's almost like the Jericho of the women's division. I don't mean that by necessarily talent, but the fact is whoever is aligned with Moné gets TV time. Hi, guys. So I personally think that it would be good to get someone to get the opportunity to get that bit of a Moné CEO rub. So someone like Kira Hogan would really benefit from a spot like this, for example. I think, you know, maybe the Renegade Twins as well could be someone that can actually move themselves up the card. They could be the first in the pecking order to lose on account of Moné when it comes to this, because Moné has Kamille right now who's destroying everybody. So it could be fun to have a faction where Moné can send someone as the first one in line that can lose matches, and then it builds further in the feuds going on for her. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, I think this is quite straightforward. Mercedes Moné to retain here.
Yeah, I've got Mercedes Moné to retain as well. I think that this is more to build her next feud. So that's why I think Camille's going to get involved, because it's probably going to end up with a 2-on-1 beatdown, and then we're going to end up getting the hero / Moné's next challenger for that TBS title coming out afterwards to save the day. And I think this is just us. This is exactly like the the match from the last pay-per-view we previewed, the NXT No Mercy women's title match. This is just one that's building towards Moné's next opponent.
Who do you reckon that might be?
I mean, Jamie Hayter is obviously someone who should be in the picture for this, but then, I mean, there's no harm in being Britt Baker again, but I don't know. This isn't my problem with the AEW women's division. Is like you can kind of throw anyone in this scenario. Like it's a good thing and a bad thing, because really you can throw anyone in there, but then again it's a bad thing because there is no obvious answer, I feel.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the thing is, there's a hell of a roster that they can go through. I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to see a Deanna Prazo. I know that she's working heel right now, and she's taking on Shida before this show happens on Collisions, which I'm assuming will be a losing effort. But maybe something
Thunder
Thunder Rosa.
Rosa, actually. Yeah, as I
Yeah,
say, Thunder Rosa probably is the best shout.
Thunder Rosa, we hope will be the next one there. But we think Mercedes Moné will retain her. But going into the comments, Sid asking, why do you think Britt Baker's not got a match at All Out? She didn't win it All In. I think quite a few critiques on the match itself that happened at All In. And if you believe the speculation, obviously she was allegedly suspended for a couple of weeks with stuff that happened backstage. So I'm guessing perhaps maybe not fully in the good books right now, but I mean, it could be one of a number of things.
You can't get everyone on the card, unfortunately. I'm going to put a more positive spin on it and just be like, you can't get everyone on the card. I know it's AEW and they're famous for getting everyone on the card, but 8 matches, I'm quite content with how it is at the minute.
I mean, the thing is, 8 matches is enough. We probably expect there could be at least up to another 6 matches probably added between now and Showtime, and that's 4 of them being
Collision's
on the
not that busy.
Well, they have a buy-in to do, didn't they? They just ran out.
That's
We've got
true.
4 matches on the buy-in. We had 2 more matches to this show, so Baker could still find a way on there. And hey, I'm a fan of Britt Baker, so I wouldn't mind seeing it added to this card. Roger says, why do you think ROH is so bad and not a lot of people watch it? I'll put a positive spin on this one. I don't necessarily think it's necessarily bad from when I've seen it, but I think it's hard to access it, and I think that there's a lot of wrestling, and I think it's the NXT of AEW, and you've already got, I suppose, lower rated shows that are higher in the pecking order, like Collision and Rampage. I think a lot of people find it hard to find the time to watch it and also to fork out the money for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at just everything that's on TV as it is, so you have Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you have Collision, you have Dynamite, you have TNA, for example, to then go and stump out however much it is for ROH World, I believe it's called. You've already got nearly 10 hours worth of wrestling on your TV every week. Do you really want to pay for something more? Which is, I think, is the biggest problem with ROH. Like, I think, like AEW need a streaming service really where they can put ROH on, because I think they will benefit from that a lot better. Kind of like, say, the WWE Network, where you can catch up and watch old Dynamites, old Collisions, even like Darks, and even our pay-per-views. And I think ROH being on that would just benefit so much more. And I think it would gain so much more viewership.
I'd take the words out of my mouth. I completely agree with that 100%. And I think that, there are some great emerging talents that perform on ROH, and there are some that have broken away. I mean, Ethan Page was on ROH, now he's the NXT champion, so it is to say there is talent on that show. Athena's a top one as well that would love to see perform on AEW a bit more often, but have to see how it will play out. But I agree with you, the streaming service for the whole package I think would be a lot more beneficial to the ROH brand personally moving forward. Zane hates that this show will be ending at 5 a.m. in the UK. Time zones are not always pretty when it comes to that for us, but
you know what? I'm so grateful that WWE have cut their shows down to like 3 hours, and I only have to really worry about WrestleMania. Like, I totally understand that. While staying up till like 5 o'clock watching them, and it's like now that I'm just like, it's AEW, I'll watch it in the morning.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it'll be a morning thing as well. I'm crazy enough being up late what I'm going to do this evening. So, I think for All Out, I think I'll be sensible and I'll wait till the next day. But one of those matches I'll be looking forward to most of the next day will be this seemingly blood feud already here between MJF and Daniel Garcia. Of course, MJF took out Daniel Garcia, trying to end his career with the tombstone off the second rope after Daniel Garcia did not win the International Championship. Of course, he was out for a very long time, and then when he did make his return, it was All In at Wembley, confronting MJF before he would lose the International Championship. Of course, the American Championship at that moment, the title that Garcia wanted to win so badly. But now, obviously, his dream is to pretty much punish and make MJF's life a misery. He's even described it as his fetish. He's gone on to pretty much say that he wants to beat him up so badly that when he's with his wife and his kids in future, his kid has to ask him, were you a former professional wrestler? I was, until Garcia ended my career. Of course, MJF did say, look, he can talk now. How good's that? He's learned how to talk. Did get personal, of course, talking about his mother, of course, when he says he's going to put him back in bed, that his mother will give him good service, just like he's done to other men in the past. That led to Garcia going into the crowd. And of course, when he finally got through all the security, he was confronted by a wine bottle put straight over the head. And that's where MJF thanked Daniel Garcia for saying, you've brought something out of me that's not been there for a very long time. I thank you for that. And I'm going to put you out your misery at All Out, and you can thank me later. Your thoughts with the build here for Daniel Garcia and MJF?
I can't remember the last time I heard an AEW promo or like one episode go by where someone doesn't mention a mum or a dad. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things with AEW. It's like, your mum did this, your dad did that, whatever. Sure, okay. This one, do you know what? For me, is one of the two hardest matches to call on the night because there's pros and cons. Well, there's pros to either person winning. Really, Garcia probably needs the win more than anything. But then again, it is MJF, and it's kind of like, it depends on how they want to book it. And obviously, MJF is supposed to be milking this neck injury from the Tiger Driver. So you can kind of see that Garcia might get the win from this one because of that. And they use that in the story-wise. And then obviously the downward spiral of MJF continues, which I think makes a lot more sense. But then again, it is MJF. He is like top guy. And yeah, it depends on, it just depends on booking with these two, where they want to go. Like, I presume that once Garcia has this match, if he wins, maybe he goes back after that international championship, maybe he goes after something like the TNT. So this match I think is purely there to elevate Garcia, who I think needs it more out of the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with pretty much everything you said there. I mean, obviously, I have a feeling this is not going to be a one and done. I think that we are building to maybe a second match, perhaps even a third match. Wouldn't be surprised if this goes to Wrestle Dream, even Full Gear, to be brutally honest, because I think this one's got the ingredients to be personal and long term. And I think the long term goal is to get over Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia was someone that had a lot of promise, had some great matches, was a part of Jericho's Appreciation Society, broke off into a bit of a comedy character. Obviously, the sports entertainment thing, was doing the dancing, which had its fun, but it was a bit Fandango-ish as well. I know, a bit controversial for me to say, but at the same time, I like the fact that with Daniel Garcia that he almost hit rock bottom. When we had the Continental Classic last year, he was someone that was unable to buy a win, and he got there in the last match. He got his win, and once he got that win, he got momentum going into 2024. And we're starting to see a different Daniel Garcia, someone who's picking up wins, someone who's getting up the card, and now, just with this feud now, it feels really personal. MJF was written off TV for a long time. He's back. I would say clearly signed a new deal. There was rumors his deal was coming to an end. If his deal is new and re-signed, he's sticking with the company for long term. I don't see why they don't push this guy to the moon, because Daniel Garcia has got something. In my opinion, he could be the next Bryan Danielson in time. Certainly has that in-ring style that really suits perfectly. I think he's going to get the win here. I think there could be a beatdown after the match from MJF that carries this on. So I think MJF could be the one that's walking out standing tall. However, I think Garcia is going to be the one that's going to pick up the win here. And I think it will embarrass MJF. And I think it will lead to something further down the line. But Garcia to pick the win up for me. And just as a final note before we move on, I hope that Daniel Garcia replaces Bryan Danielson in the Blackpool Combat Club when Danielson eventually retires, because I want to see Garcia as a top guy. And I think he's someone that actually would fit that group really, really well.
Yeah, at this rate, he could replace Moxley with whatever Moxley's planning to do with whoever they've got planning with that one. But yeah, no, I can kind of see it. I like the idea of it. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I think Garcia needs this win more than anything. And again, like you've just said, if he's just re-signed with the company, this should be the start of him starting to raise his value and raise how much he's worth to the company and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd go the same way and say Garcia wins this one.
Garcia for us. You mentioned it quickly, so I'm going to bring it up. Will Jon Moxley appear at All Out? Obviously, he's been looking for Darby Allin. He's been trying to get some communication. Obviously, Darby has not responded at this moment. He said he's a patient man, but don't make him impatient. Could there be a reason, excuse to appear at All Out? Maybe see Marina Shafir, who's been by his side the last couple of weeks, destroying some people backstage, or is that something that should be saved for Dynamite's only for this moment?
I mean, there's no logical reason. It's not like Darby's in a faction with anyone at the minute. Obviously, Sting's not going to be there, so I can't see Moxley being there, if I'm honest.
I think he will appear. I think they'll do something again where they'll almost start to put the ultimatum out there, and I think then it starts moving the story a bit further along, because I think if Moxley does this for weeks and weeks upon end, I think people will start to lose interest quickly, because what was really hot the first week, I didn't think was as hot the second week. So let's see where it goes from here. But we're short and sweet on that one.
AEW.
Yeah,
I've been there before with it. Like, anyone remember the Devil from last year?
Exactly. It does feel like it could be something like that. Quickly, just as I've mentioned it, do you have a quick prediction of what you think this all leads to?
I mean, with AEW, can honestly be anything. I mean, like, as long as it's not something like Retribution, we'll be all right, I think.
Can you imagine Retribution style angle from Moxley? Bless him. We can have the gas mask back from 2019.
They could probably do it better, to be fair, because you know what AEW is like. They'd actually get chainsaws out and all this kind of stuff, and it'd be a weekly basis. But I imagine it's just a new faction more than anything. I don't see the point. Like, this is one thing that just irritates me, is that everyone chops and changes factions every 5 minutes. It's almost like there's no brand look, there's no like faction loyalty anymore in wrestling.
I mean, where is it? Do you know what I mean? Danielson didn't really want to comment on it on commentary this past week, but I like that he's got his New Japan theme music, the Death Rider style music, John Moxley in it. I know there is a show coming in January, so there could be some sort of invasion angle that could kick in, because obviously with Wrestle Kingdom, it also will have a super show of AEW, New Japan, Stardom, and CNMLL as well. So it could be something building to that, where we get the New Japan stars over to build over the winter. Yep. However, Marine Shafir isn't due with New Japan or Stardom, so I agree with you. It could be something that's just in-house, but does lead to a comment I've got. Will Shane McMahon join AEW? Could Shane McMahon be the one that's leading Moxley into war here with a new faction?
Honestly, I hope not. Like, as much as like Shane is obviously he will be fun for about 5 minutes, but unless the creative or the narrative is done right, like, dude, to this day, we still don't know what was in that lockbox that he wanted off of Vince, which was the reason why he had that WrestleMania match against Omos or whoever it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be something great. It might not be, but I think at the minute, I would say no. I just really hope not, man. Like, I don't want to tarnish. Like, imagine it comes in and it's AEW Underground. It could be something dumb like that. It's just going to be something that's old and hashed that WWE have done before, and I really don't want it to be that. Oh my God, Sid, really? To be fair, he didn't win the WWE World Cup, by replacing The Miz and claiming he's the best in the world, in a tournament full of only Americans.
I'm going to say that I think it can have some fun with it, but I don't know what it's going to lead to. But of the two things right now, I will lean on the New Japan invasion, but I wouldn't be surprised if it involves Shane at some point. He owns Collision or something like that, just to start the war in AEW.
Could you bring back WCCW or something like that?
Absolutely. Let's move on in the meantime before we go completely off track here. Let's talk about the Chicago street fight that we've got now with Willow Nightingale versus Kris Statlander. Of course, Willow getting the stipulation after winning the mixed tag team match with Tomohiro Ishii against Kris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway at Wembley Stadium on the countdown to All In. Of course, Willow got to make the stipulation, which apparently she's very good in these matches. She's won a lot of them, but been quite brutal, quite violent. I think this one will be probably up the same alley. However, a part of me just has the feeling, getting into the prediction, that I think Kris Statlander's going to take this one.
Yeah, I do. I have the same opinion. Like, I don't know why you'd want to bury Kris Statlander two pay-per-views in a row. So was my inkling. I thought that Statlander would get a win here. Yeah, that was my reason for why. The only thing I can think is, like, do we know if the CMML Championship is on the top line in this, or is it just a straight-up street fight?
I believe it's just a straight-up street fight. According to the graphic here, there is no championship listed. Originally, I thought there would be, but there is no championship listed. Yeah,
because that was the only other thing, is like, if they throw that title in the mix and kind of make it interesting, like, dude, have Statlander heal it up. Obviously CML is a Mexican promotion. Have her go down there. Do you know what I mean? Be the heel American. Get herself over with that. Have Stokely Hathaway go with her. I think that could be great. But yeah, just for me, I think that in general, without that title, she still needs to win this match.
Yeah, I think Statlander's losing a bit of steam if she loses again here. Willow, at the moment, I don't think loses anything by losing this match. So I think it's important that Kris Statlander wins this one. But I think this one secretly could be a big banger match. This one could surprise a lot of people as one of the best ones of the card. I really do feel that way. Moving on in the meantime, then, and pre-warning, this graphic's horrific. Kazuchika Okada will be defending the AEW Continental Championship in a 4-way. AEW, please put this on your Twitter feed. I've had to take this off Google, which has not been handy for me, but I can move on give you some people who will fill the gaps, and we're going to predict those people who will join Okada. So first off, Konosuke Takeshita will be taking on the Beast Mortos. Who do you think will be winning that and joining the four-way?
Takeshita all the way with that one.
Yep, Takeshita as well. It looked like that Takeshita made the save for Kyle Fletcher this past week on Dynamite after the win for Okada. So it does look like that there would be something there potentially long term. Hopefully a singles match between those two further down the line, but certainly seen being part of the four-way. Lance Archer versus the ROH World Champion Mark Briscoe. I don't think I need to give you a very impassionate promo to say who I think is going to be winning this one. I'm going for Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a 3% chance Archer could get in it, but yeah, I think Briscoe is the one that's going to win. I think Briscoe's the same. He's going to get himself into this one.
Absolutely, indeed. Feel the same here. And last but not least, Orange Cassidy versus Bryan Keith, of course, of the Learning Tree. Of course, if Orange Cassidy does lose this match, he will give the $7,000 that he owes to Chris Jericho for that jacket from their feud 4 years ago. It feels like we will get a Cassidy versus Jericho feud again in the future. Potentially could be a late edition match added to this card if Bryan Keith wins here. But I've got Orange Cassidy winning.
Yeah, I've got Orange Cassidy winning this as well. It makes all the sense in the world. He's still one of the top guys in AEW, and it'd be stupid to not put him on the pay-per-view.
I agree with that as well. And I think that we can perhaps do Jericho actually costing, I think, Orange Cassidy in this match and just do that match of Wrestle Dream instead or on a Dynamite instead. But so Okada then, we have at the moment predicted to take on Konosuke Takeshita. We also have Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy, which I think will be a really good fatal four-way, by the way. Who would you predict to walk away as the AEW Continental Champion?
I'm going to say Okada wins this. I think the point of this match is to elevate Takeshita. I think that he's going to be they seem to be building towards those two going for that title. So I'm going to say that Okada pins Briscoe to retain.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to actually suggest the same thing, or it could be Cassidy if Jericho gets involved as well. But I also have Okada picking up the win. We'll have to disappear for a couple of seconds, but just while I do, I'm going to leave you with a question on if you believe there will be any returns or debuts at All Out NXT. I'll be back in a couple of seconds.
God, I mean, I'm trying to think now. Give me a second and I'll have a look and see if there is anything rumored. I can't personally see anyone. I mean, I'm just trying to think who there would possibly be. I mean, I don't know. Adam Copeland is possibly fit and ready to go again. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't possibly say anyone, if I'm honest. I don't know anyone who's even rumored to be returning, so that's going to be a shame. I'm going to go down some of the other comments. DeRich says, I'd love to see Lance Archer. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, there's a chance Lance Archer will get in there. Just with Briscoe being the ROH champion, I think that it's more likely that he will get in there. You have Takeshita, Orange, and Archer. Yes, I mean, you can easily swap Archer out here for Briscoe. You could go either way, but I would seriously still think that Briscoe's going to get in there. They're going to try and elevate that ROH championship a little bit more, which is probably why Steve's right, and it's probably going to be Orange Cassidy that takes the pinfall. Don't think you really want the ROH World Champion taking the pin in this match, but I just think it's like that. Is Jake the Snake still with AEW? As far as I know, Roger, I haven't got a clue. Let's have a look. Sid Rhodes, are you going to Oasis? Hell no, man. Not with the prices they were charging. Definitely not. Here we go. What else have we got here? Zane Charles. WWE are bringing back Saturday night's main event. They are apparently for a December show. Well, they've announced it's a show for December, but whether it's Saturday night main event or not, we're yet to find out. But that is definitely going to be something to look forward to in December because they do not currently have a pay-per-view booked. So that'll be something to look forward to.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that, and it will be exciting to do bring it back a nostalgic feel as well, and be a good excuse for us to do something perhaps in a throwback territory. But just to go back to Roger's comment very quickly, returning returns or debuts, obviously All Out was famous. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't have anyone listed either, but it would be fun and interesting to see someone. Bobby Lashley is someone I think that's rumored for AEW, but I've got him currently penciled for Wrestle Dream just purely because of that's where Adam Copeland debuted last year, and the idea of it's a dream that they debut there. So I think let's save that for then. I think there's enough currently going on this show and this card at the moment.
I did answer the rest of the questions that are up there, by the way, as well, just while you were gone. So the only ones I haven't done is the two that have just come in from the Rich.
Yes, which we've already covered if John Moxley will be there this Saturday. Just to rewind probably 10 minutes of the stream to get that answer at the moment. But just to give you an indication, simple answer, I said yes. So you can find out what, just rewind in 10 minutes. And then Steve did say no. We'll move on in the meantime then to our next match, which will be for the AEW Tag Team Championship. Will be the Young Bucks going against the Blackpool Combat Club. Claudio Castagnoli and Willow, of course, currently are 2/3 of the AEW Trios champions. So pretty much this match has been put together on the basis that the Young Bucks, the EVPs, are going to do what it takes to get the AEW World Championship in and amongst their ranks. So to do that, they want to take out Bryan Danielson's inmates. There was a beatdown after the 6-man tag team match on Dynamite, which of course was Jack Perry beating down Bryan Danielson, the Young Bucks beating down the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club, and Okada getting involved as well. And of course, Claudio put the challenge out, and it was made by Tony Khan. But should be a fun tag team match. I reckon this will be a fun one to watch. But at the same time, I don't see the Bucks dropping the titles here. I think that they will get the job done of what they're looking to do, putting more pressure on Bryan Danielson when it comes to that world title match.
Yeah, agreed. I think if anything, it actually harms the Claudio and Willow just because they're trios champions. They're essentially in the same boat as you. They are also a tag team champion. They are. So had them taking a loss, I mean, I would hopefully think they'll go with a screwy finish for this just to protect them as trios champion.
Yeah, it would be good to see if they do something like that. But I mean, if Okada has some action, Jack Perry, depends where this is placed on the show. I think will be interesting to see. But for me, I see the Bucks win this, whether it's clean or whether it's not. But it'll probably be a way that it's not done in the cleanest of fashions. Maybe a legal object or one of those championship belts could be involved. Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry for the AEW World Championship. So if the Young Bucks do happen to beat the Blackpool Combat Club, then Danielson will sort of feel outnumbered in this match. Jack Perry is the TNT champion. Is he going to win the match, or is Danielson going to find a way to win? How do you see this one going?
Dude, I find it very hard to believe Jack Perry is going to win this match. Like it's Danielson's first defense. There's no way. Like I would put my house on Danielson winning. Like if Jack Perry won this, I think this would be the shock of the decade when it comes to pro wrestling.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I feel like that Danielson, he's just won the title. If he loses, he has to retire. That just doesn't make any sense at all here. So there's no way that Danielson's losing this match. I'm surprised Jack Perry is the guy that's going for the title here. I would have, although it's a match that I think should be good on paper, I would have much preferred to have seen Okada in this position going for the title. I just think if someone's going to go for it from the elite, Okada would have been a better shout, in my opinion, a much more believable opponent to take the title as well. But at the same time, I do think the match should still be decent.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question we're all asking is how long is Danielson's reign going to be? Because, dude, I mean, obviously there's that Washington show coming up where I think a lot of people are expecting him to drop it back to Swerve, or even just like you want to drop it to Swerve because obviously they're both from the area. But I mean, some people have, like, I've heard rumors today that, well, not rumors, but suggestions that people want to see him go on a year run. And like, this dude was literally about to retire. And it's like, you want him to go on a year run as champion? You're just insane.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to go. For me, I still believe until Wrestle Dream, but then at the same time, if he has got the permission to go a bit longer, I mean, are we going to complain to seeing Bryan Danielson have one last run like this? It's almost like the Ric Flair scenario where when he loses, he will leave. So, I mean, as a wrestling fan, of course, I want to see Bryan Danielson wrestle as long as he wants to, but also as long as he's healthy too as well. I want him to have his time with his family. So, I also feel Nigel McGuinness will be a match before he hangs up the boots. So let's wait and see. I think there's a lot of interesting ways that this can go. But Danielson versus Perry should still be decent. But I think it's quite conclusive. A Bryan Danielson victory is the way to go. Which moves us on to what will be the main event of the show. And it will main event the show because it's a unsanctioned, lights out, steel cage match between Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. Now, of course, this one has gone, well, a full calendar year with these two. It originally started with Swerve just wanting to get into the main event and taking Hangman's spot, reminding Hangman that he hadn't had new ring attire for about a year. Of course, that led us to Hangman getting that glorious mustache that we see on the screen for us right now. But at the same time, this got quite personal, didn't it? It went to Texas Deathmatch, which was one of the matches of the year last year. It led to then obviously Hangman trying to stop Swerve becoming the AEW World Champion. And I mean, of course, Hangman was suspended. He was taken away from the company. That's when Swerve could win the title, and really was kind of laughing at Page at that point, because this was a guy that, to get to Hangman Adam Page's spot, had broken into his house and looked over his child that was in bed. You know, it was a really personal thing for Hangman. Yet fans had turned on Hangman. He was the bad guy in this, not the good guy. Still, when Hangman did make his return in Blood and Guts, his focus was not on helping the Elite win the Blood and Guts match. It was all about taking out Swerve Strickland. Of course, that just meant this was going to remain personal for the long term. It was never going to move on for Hangman. And unfortunately, for All In's purposes, Swerve was already fixed. He was going to take on Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship, and that was Hangman's opportunity to make his appearance in the main event and arguably, and I say arguably, distract Swerve long enough that it cost Swerve the championship. It put then this match together one more time, and Swerve did say, "I pity you. I've moved on. I won the title. Are you still just focused on me? Am I living like rent-free in your head? Well, why you? I want to see Hangman Adam Page that has got that desire, that wants to get back to that main event scene, or is this not the route you want to go down?" We do see this past week on AEW TV, Swerve signed a new AEW contract, and he got to buy his childhood home, showing how much it meant to him, memories growing up, and you just knew there was going to be a twist in the tale, a contract signing for later that night where Swerve Strickland was there in and waiting. Hangman Adam Page said that you made a mistake. You told me about something that you loved. Because obviously Swerve had been outside Hangman's house again, which we'd seen the week before. And this was when Hangman Adam Page was going to become a father for the second time. There was no choice for him. This had to remain personal. So I guess the question was, whose house? No one's house. Burnt to the ground, drinking a whiskey. That, my friends, is fine arts and cinema. The way that this was portrayed. Swerve's reactions were absolutely spectacular. Not going to lie, I'm ecstatically looking forward to this match. I think that this has got a potential match of the year candidate written all over it. I do have a slight nitpick just before I quickly get you started. An unsanctioned, lights out, steel cage match. I mean, I assume steel cage matches are unsanctioned and just the lights are going out beforehand. But all in all, I think this one is going to be a banger.
If you want a Jonesy special wrestling match with a story, this is it. This is everything. Like, these guys obviously went to a complete gory new level in one of their previous matches, which a lot of people weren't a fan of, which is, I think, why we've waited so long for this. But yeah, like you said, Hangman was the good guy to start off with. I still believe he is the good guy to me, because this is all Swerve's fault. This is all his own doing. This is what we call karma, Swerve. You've brought this on yourself. But dude, yeah, just the way that it was produced. I mean, dude, the second he set that fire, how Hangman sits in that chair with that fire, because I swear to God, that fire is on him. Like, around that table that's got that whiskey on it, I'm pretty sure that whiskey would have like evaporated from the fire that was like literally a foot away from him. But so well produced, made Hangman look like a complete psycho. The only other match on this card for me that is it can go either way, really. The only, like, especially with it being unsanctioned, you can easily say, well, Swerve can win again. He's won the last, I think he's won 4 out of 4. So
he's won all of them, yeah.
Yeah, so you can easily say that he can win again because it's unsanctioned. It doesn't count in the record books. But, dude, Hangman Page needs a win here. And I think that the emotions are going to get the better of Swerve in this one. And it's going to end up costing him this match. And it's going to end up ending with Hangman absolutely destroying him in this steel cage match.
Interesting. Because I agree with you. This is a match that can go either way. To give my prediction on it, obviously, Hangman has said, you still haven't beaten me clean in any of these matches. Obviously, Prince Nana has been involved in the first two. I think Brian Cage was involved with one of them as well. So, obviously, they've been involved in the freeway, which, of course, Hangman tapped out of because of the fact he didn't want Swerve to win. So, he's not always put his personal gain at the start here. But if Swerve is in a cage and no one else can get involved and Swerve can win, I do wonder if this really closes the book completely on this one. And I think they've set this out now to where there's only one more place this can go after this, and that's Exploding Barbed Wire Deathmatch. That's the only other place this can go after this. So I don't think it's going to go that far. I think they're gonna do something explosive with this one. We've seen it already on Dynamite, but I'm going for a Swerve win here.
Really? Wow. Because the only I can see what you mean, because obviously if the idea is that they want to put that title back on Swerve with Danielson, Swerve really does need to win this one to get himself back in that picture again. But, dude, Hangman taking 5 losses to him, I just find that so hard to believe. Like, I mean, dude, you just go back to the original promo last year when he turned around and said, you were meant to be the cornerstone of this company. Like, you were here day one. You said you were going to be the first AEW world champion. And you kind of sit there and think to yourself, well, it's all true. And then, like I said, he's taken L after L after L. And there's been so many times before that people, including me, have predicted that he's going to eventually get a win. I find it so hard to believe that he's going to go 5-0. Do you know what I mean? I find it so hard to believe.
I just believe that this Hangman character is what he's needed. I think he's doing some of the best work in his AEW career. I think he did one of his best promos of his career this past week on Dynamite before setting the house in flames. And I think that a win for him can bring him back to old Hangman a little bit, where I think this one leaves him further unhinged. And I think if you can add some added tweaks to this of perhaps, for example, you guys aren't doing this again. You're not allowed to interact after this for whatever reason. The repercussions can be to the point of, the Hangman won't do it. So they could send him over the deep end, and that can lead him to a whole new storyline altogether, because he's always been the vulnerable one that's sort of gone over the edge a little bit. So I would be interested in the Hangman Page character after another loss here and not being able to get the revenge on Swerve and having to almost accept and stomach that this man is better than him and can beat him and does each and every time. And this guy will go back and win the world title.
See, I don't know. Like I said, there's so many. It's one of the 2 hardest matches to call. I mean, I wouldn't be against. Like I said, Hangman winning. He gets a shot at Danielson. Swerve ultimately costs Hangman that match. They do this again, or do you know what I mean? Or even doing it. I know it's silly, but doing a trios match between the 3 of them for that world title kind of seems maybe plausible, but. I don't know, man. Like I said, it's the 4-0 that he's currently sitting on that I find it so hard to believe that they'll go 5-0. I mean, don't get me wrong, the idea of him getting even more insane and more crazier with another loss, but like you said, there's not many more places they can go apart from, like you said, barbed wire exploding death matches, whatever they're called. They can't really get much like unless they go hopefully don't screw it up and it all goes well this time. They pull it off. Sure, maybe it will revitalize that whole match type for AEW, but I just find it so hard to believe, dude.
Be interesting to find out how it's going to go. That's all I can say. But be interesting to know what everyone's got to say in the comments section of the video anyway. But Zane's got a couple of questions in, which we'll take before we wrap things up here today. The first one, basically asking if we're a fan of Wrestling Days on YouTube. Yeah, I think he does some great content on his channel.
I'll be honest with you. There's so many wrestling channels out there. I follow a very limited amount. I tend to follow the big ones just for the news, because unfortunately there's just too much wrestling for me to watch during the week already as it is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But when I do catch his stuff, particularly on the White Six stuff, he's covered it in great detail and stuff, and his watch-alongs and that. So yeah, it seems a very likable guy as well. So yeah, he's great.
Do you know what else I actually find with YouTuber content as well is that I don't like, because I already follow like obviously the main ones, What Culture, Wrestle Talk, Cultaholic. I don't tend to get recommended a lot of the smaller ones unless like I meet them through doing this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never actually heard of Wrestle that one until just now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. It must be my YouTube algorithm. It's all messed up. Like I get well, because my kids use my YouTube account. I get Mr. Beast and FGTV videos recommended. So do you know what I mean? It's very hard for me to find new content anyway.
Yeah, I understand that entirely. And of course, there's a pool out there of many wrestling YouTube channels out there as well. It's hard to find all of them. Have you tried Woo Energy?
No, didn't. I know you had an energy, but I don't think you can actually get it over here.
To my knowledge, can't get it where I am either, and I probably wouldn't try it if I did. Have you ever tried? Do you see Ric Flair returning to WWE or AEW? Personally, I think while Prime exists in WWE and Logan Paul, I don't see Ric Flair going back personally, and not to AEW either, because I don't think the experience was necessarily a pleasant one.
Yeah, no, I don't think I like. Yeah, I very much like. Maybe at some point in capacity, like with Charlotte. Maybe, like, I don't know, Charlotte gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Maybe he'll come back, but that's all about it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anywhere, it's WWE. I mean, obviously, in Triple H will probably be tight, so they might find some role, but it'll be something like that, a very limited role. I don't think it'll be something that he's on TV each and every week. So,
like
but yeah,
what, the Undertaker does with the Dead Man shows. Do you know what I mean? Whenever they do WrestleMania, it'll be something stupid like that.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, you top on with that one. Yeah. But is there anything like to say before we wrap up the stream?
No, dude. Yeah, I mean, there was something I did want to talk about quickly, but it's gone from the top of my head, so it doesn't matter now because I can't remember.
We'll have to keep it for the next time then. But if you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Apologies for any technical issues during this stream, but hope you've enjoyed it anyway, and hope you enjoy AEW All Out. If you want to see me again later this evening, in fact, in 1 hour's time, I'll be on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'll be on their show, so you can come and join us on their channel. OTM all the name. I'm going to do an update on my computer in the meantime, and I will see you then. All the best. Thanks for watching, and take care.